According to U.S. Justice, African American males are 6 times more likely to be incarcerated than white males, and 2.5 times more likely than Hispanic males. If current trends continue, 1 of every 3 Black American males born today can expect to go to prison in his lifetime. This is a massive challenge that has many contributing factors, some systemic, some educational, or even environmental. So what options are there to tackle this challenge? There's one organization with an encouraging approach. Grab your pen and paper. You'll want to take a note.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Hello and welcome to the Clarion Call TV show. I am Janice Hatcher-Liggins, your host. The school-to-prison pipeline is real. You've heard me say that numerous times on this show. The challenge is the pipeline is also widespread, statewide and even nationwide. From a local perspective, there's one organization seeking to serve a few young men in a manner that would change the trajectory of their lives for the good. Joining us today are Mr. and Mrs. Clarence Carter, co-founders of Gateway Second Chance Foundation. Both of you, welcome to the show. I am honored to be able to showcase the wonderful work you're doing in the Gateway Second Chance Foundation. So I want you to start off by telling me, what is Gateway Second Chance? What's it all about, and what is the mission?
Okay. Well, we are a 501c3, meaning a nonprofit organization.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of our organization really captures and communicates what we are about, what our mission is about. Gateway, an opening, access point for a second chance for struggling young men who are struggling with academic, sometimes behavioral challenges, as well as life skill issues, to give them a second chance to get these skills which are necessary,
yes,
which are required for a chance at a decent future and a chance to minimize their risk of getting caught up in that pipeline to prison.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And let me just add,
sure,
one of the ways in which we do that is through the Gateway Boarding Academy, which is a separate foundation. The Gateway Second Chance Foundation funds the Gateway Boarding Academy, and the Gateway Boarding Academy is an educational program that assists the students that were just described.
wonderful. How long has Gateway, I'm going to say Gateway.
Yes, that's
fine.
That's
Okay,
right.
so how long has Gateway been in existence? When did you get started?
We've been in existence since May of 2015.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And you both are educators.
Yes.
Okay, give us a little bit of your background.
Well, let's start with yours, which is better than mine.
I don't know about that. I started as a classroom teacher back in the early 60s and progressed from there to actually to remedial reading. I was concerned, I was teaching first grade, and I was concerned that some of the children seemed to be picking up on reading and others of the children just were really having a struggle. And I said, must be me, you know, must be that I don't know how to teach reading. So I went back to school, got another degree in reading, just the teaching of reading. And from there, I went on into, I guess you'd call it central office, up until the point at which I became a school superintendent.
Wow.
So at that point, I started schools, and the rest is history.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what about you?
Well, my background is combined, both business administration, where I learned a lot as a manager of various corporations, but also I was graduate degree in education administration. And I've had experience teaching at the college level as well as the middle school level, and ultimately, after I retired from corporate America, I became a principal of a private school.
Okay.
First grade through 12th.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Interesting.
Well, the both of you have, are well entrenched in education.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that serves you well within your organization. And so with Gateway's services, how do you want the services to impact that prison pipeline we've been talking about?
Okay. We know that today, to obtain gainful employment, you will need academic skills, even basic academic skills. And failing to have those skills or to acquire those skills, you are more tempted to do some things to earn a living that will bring you at greater risk of getting caught up in that pipeline to prison. So we provide this second chance for these young men who have varying degrees of academic deficiencies to acquire these basic skills, which will enable them subsequently to not only succeed in the public school or K-12 level, but beyond.
Okay.
Be that at Prince George's Community College or other training providers where they can learn career skills, or if they want to go on to the regular college environment for a year, prepare them for that opportunity as well.
And what age group do you normally focus on?
Well, we serve from 12 to 16 in our after-school program.
Okay.
We'll be serving students a little bit older than that when we open the residential program, which we'll talk about a little later.
Okay, okay. And within the program, what type of trainings are you providing currently to the young men? And it's all boys, is that right?
Yes,
Yes, it's
all
It's-
boys.
Right.
Yes, we provide training in math and reading. And let me explain about reading, because it sounds simplistic if we only say reading. But reading involves comprehension, vocabulary, the ability to draw inferences from what you read and to summarize, and all of those kinds of skills are a part of the reading. So it's those two curricular areas that we provide. There's also homework assistance when they come in with projects or homework that they need help with. There's assistance available to provide them that assistance, that help.
Okay. Let me just add with the reading program, we've learned that reading and writing are integral. And so as they're learning to conclude and to summarize what they're reading, they're also learning to be able to communicate that through the written word.
Wonderful, wonderful. Totally comprehensive
Yes.
approach to it.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. And so what about the math?
Well, the math is, let me put it this way. Back when we were in school, you learned your times tables, you learned division facts, addition facts, subtraction facts, and so forth. But not necessarily what made that so. So this program not only teaches those kinds of things, but teaches you how all of that is interrelated, and teaches you to think mathematically and to be able to solve problems mathematically.
Wonderful.
And it does so communicating both through the computer, practicing the skills that are learned, as well as through direct instruction, and then small and individualized group work.
So you have people who will work with them one-on-one when they need?
Yes. Yes, we have a
Nice.
cadre of volunteers
Nice.
that assist us particularly in that capacity, but we also have certified instructors that do the actual teaching in the large group. So you have a reading teacher, you'll have a math teacher as well.
And what's the format of the classes? Are they every day? Or are they 3 times? What's
3 times a week.
Okay.
We're an after-school program, and we're from 4 to 7. So when the students come in, you know how boys are. They're always hungry, right? Okay, so we feed them first.
Right.
And we
4 to
allow
7
them.
is a key time, too.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
right after
Right,
school.
right, right.
And it's long enough so that you can get all of the instruction in without rushing and being able to give individualized attention when we need to. But they eat, then they go to large group instruction. The groups are split. Some go to reading, some go to math. And after the large group instruction, they're divided into either and one-on-one, or a small group, or the computer lab, where they go to practice the skills that they've been taught.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to that when we feed them early on. And
That's
we feed them what I think they would term junk food, the food they really like, snacks and so forth. But that's a time when they begin to develop a sense of community, esprit de corps, where they can trust the environment that they're in and trust each other, and feel more comfortable revealing that they have deficiencies rather than relying on their defensive coping skills to hide those deficiencies.
And they're used to that defensive coping skill.
Yes, they are.
Absolutely.
They're used to using that in
Yes,
school,
they are.
mostly out of shame.
Yes.
But to be able to break down those walls and have them open up is key. That's
Absolutely.
great.
We had one young man maybe a year or so ago who literally came in and we asked him to read, and he was like this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And we have another student whose coping skill was to go physically to sleep.
Yeah.
So he would be sitting there at the desk with us, and all of a sudden you'd see him,
Oh, wow.
and he literally would go to sleep. So we recognize and make instant adjustments for those kinds of things.
Wow. What is the most important lesson that you would want the students to take away? I know you even mentioned mentoring and some of the soft skills, some of the life skills, but between that and the reading and the math, what is it that you think is most critical for them to learn, as to take away?
I believe that perseverance, not just perseverance, but learning how to make more rational decisions and taking responsibility for decisions that they make. But the perseverance, I think, is more critical, that there are going to be setbacks in life, in school, in your career. But if you persevere, if you subscribe to our motto, which is failure is not an option, then you will continue to succeed in life.
And I
They
guess
also
for
go
me-
through
go ahead.
some extracurricular activities that they've participated in, like rock climbing and
Yeah.
things
yeah.
of that. Give us another, outside of rock climbing, what else?
Well, they do those kinds of things during the summer camp experience,
Okay.
and that's an opportunity to emphasize the core values that we have in the program, some of which Brother Carter was just talking about. The summer camp itself is a one-week experience in the environment where they are caused to solve problems as a team so that they can understand leadership, followership, and how each person has to take responsibility for their part of the whatever product problem
Sure, sure.
solution is.
And that followership is as critical
Yes.
as the leadership.
Yes.
Part of it, because it's all a part of the same team.
Yes.
And that team, they say teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes.
But so that's great. That's great. I know I saw an image of them doing what do you call it, the line, the
Rope
rip
climbing?
line?
Zip lining,
Zip
yes,
lining.
yes.
Okay, wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful,
that's
wonderful.
that's being able to step up to the challenge, not being fearful. And hearkening back to the question you asked before, one of the things that I think is most important is for them to know they can do it.
They can do it. Wonderful. We're going to put a pin in it for right now, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
So, how has the Gateway Second Chance program impacted some of the young men they serve? That's next. Stay tuned.
Just stop. Sluta.
Terja.
Pare.
Stopp.
Can we just stop for a moment?
Just for a moment.
Just for a moment.
If I can create my peaceful world,
And he can create his peaceful world.
And she can create her peaceful world.
Maybe we would be less likely to destroy each other.
In all the small daily ways.
As well as the earth-shaking,
Truly soul-shattering.
Literal ways.
With us again is Mr. and Mrs. Clarence Carter, co-founders of the Gateway Second Chance Foundation. Welcome again, both of you. So I wanted to start off by talking about some of the young boys that you've already worked with. You've been working with them very closely. Give us an idea of some of the things their personalities and some of their challenges. And I know that there's one young man, Camden. Tell us about Camden.
Camden came to us early in the year, and we talked earlier about the longer they're in the program, the more progress they make, and this was definitely true of Camden.
Okay.
He made the most progress in the time that he was there. Lovely young man. It gives me a hug every time he comes in.
Nice.
He's so glad to be there,
Nice.
and works very diligently. Had struggles in both reading and math, and has improved in both areas.
Wonderful.
Both areas.
How old is Camden?
Oh, geez, Camden must be
14?
I think he's younger than that. He's
13 or 14.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
still within
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And you're working with them at a very tender age.
Right.
Yes.
A very critical age. So wonderful, wonderful. What about Cameron?
Cameron is another very wonderful young man. He's a great athlete.
Yes.
In
Baseball.
fact,
Oh,
he's
yes.
pushing for scholarships, and in high schools we're taking a close look at recruiting him. His problem area primarily was in mathematics. And also reading, because some of the instructions in the test booklets that he would be taking tests out of required comprehension, because you had to apply the instructions that they were giving you to resolve the math problems. So we had to deal with both his math and reading challenges. You want to add to?
Yeah, just that Camden came to us late in the year. I'm thinking he had a good maybe 2 months, maybe a little bit more than that, and still made progress.
2 months left in the school year? you
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
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 This was a case where the parent, the dad in this case, was kind of reluctant to acknowledge that his youngster had serious deficiencies. And so he hesitated in seeking us out and seeking the help from the program. Finally, when he figured he could not do anything, couldn't bring it about the change through wishful thinking, he brought him into the program, and there was improvement as a result of his being involved in the program.
Yeah, sometimes the parents will tend to be a little embarrassed, a little ashamed, you know, to acknowledge that their child needs additional supports. But guess what, parents? That's what you're there for, is to help make sure they get the support they need. And there's nothing wrong with it. As a matter of fact, kudos to the parents who do step up and bring their children for additional help and additional supports. The children are depending on the parents to do just that.
Absolutely.
And so good for you, good for you. So what about Jamar?
Jamar is the youngster who his coping skill was to fall asleep, to literally fall asleep. And once he became more comfortable with us, and we made adjustments, like instead of working on a keyboard that was at desk level, we had him stand up and work on the keyboard at a higher level. And just those kinds of encouraging things, adjustments to the program, things that is difficult to do in a regular classroom setting, seem to have effectively helped him to progress academically and in life skills. He so enjoyed the program that he, on one occasion, took an Uber to get to the program.
Oh, wow, nice.
His dad was supposed to provide transportation, and that fell through the cracks. His mom was working at night, so he took an Uber because he did not want to miss.
Now that's commitment.
Yes, it is.
Now he enjoys that.
Yes.
He enjoys that program.
Yes, he did.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So how did each of them, and in any of the other youth you work with, how do they find you?
The greatest way is word of mouth.
Okay.
But initially, T&I, right?
Yeah, that's the county program, Transforming Neighborhoods Initiative. They have made referrals to us, as well as the fact that we've made presentations to principals and at community organization events, like they have community day outside, and we tell them what our program is about, et cetera, et cetera.
And that it is no cost.
That there's no cost,
There's a registration fee, and that's it. And once they hear that, it's like, oh, there's help, and it doesn't cost.
Right, right.
You can't beat free.
Yeah.
And you know, but the registration fee at least makes them commit to something.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because we've learned where there's no investment, there's
no
appreciation.
Absolutely.
Somewhere along the way we learned that. We just happened to be in church, but that's okay.
Yes.
I mean, because that is some commitment, at least on their part, and then to get them there.
Yes.
Right.
And then to get them there. So that's wonderful. So in order to do that, though, to offer it for free, you've had some major sponsors or events, and I know that you had one prayer breakfast where the county executive was your speaker. Tell us a little bit about that.
The prayer breakfast has been the annual prayer breakfast has been the primary means of raising funds over the life of our organization, which has been since 2015. And the keynote speakers who have not charged because they know that we need the proceeds from that event to provide opportunities for the young men that we work with and their families without charging them. So they have a philosophical commitment to our mission, and they know that their appearance and their comments help us to raise the kinds of funds that we need to continue to be a viable organization.
Wonderful, wonderful. So going forward, what is the long-term vision for the organization?
The residential program, I guess, would be the long-term vision. We have a set of parents. I don't want to forget to say that, the sustaining parents that support us on a monthly or quarterly basis to continue to provide the support that we need. But it's not enough. But the goal is to get a facility whereby those students that have a little bit more challenges behaviorally and academically, that they can have a live-in environment where there's a house mother and a house father that will help them with their homework, and we can provide some relief for them, as well as consistent education. You probably want to talk more about the actual residential program.
Yeah, the residential program will be positioned, meaning the character of the program will be that it is an academy. It is preparing you for further education or the acquisition of those skills you will need to make sure that you have a really good chance at a very favorable future. And that, again, further minimizes the risk of your being caught up in that pipeline to prison. That's what it is. It's not a reform school. It's not a training school. It is an academy for special youngsters who will eventually subscribe to our motto, which is failure is not an option.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now it's an after-school program.
Yes.
Where they come to you after their regular school day. And in the future, though, it will actually be a residential. Will you have both? Will you
Yes,
continue
we will
both?
continue
Okay.
both.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, and you're going to call that a boarding school?
Yes, that's Gateway Boarding Academy.
Gateway Boarding Academy.
Yes.
Right.
It's an awesome vision.
Yeah.
When do you envision that part